Hi, we're going to do decoding the chords of socialization and criticism, including self-criticism. And I want to first talk about the materials that you use. They're very specific and they have a very specific effect. And not only do you want to use those specific materials for this, but you also want to use them in a specific form. So we'll start with the epidote. And you'll see that in the book it says use hexagonal shaped epidote. That's a hexagonal shaped epidote. And you can see that's the shape. It's got the sides. You also want it to be flat and as flat as possible on both sides. Okay, so that's hexagonal epidote. And then this is spongy epidote. And I came across this. This was at a particular dealer in Tucson. And I went, oh, I think that's going to work. And it does. It's a good one, the spongy epidote. Less expensive than the hexagonal epidote, which can be surprisingly pricey. Now, the thing with epidote is it's an inclusion in quartz. So this quartz has epidote included in it. And it's the green needles in this quartz that has that's the epidote. Sometimes people mistake epidote. And I've done this. You mistake epidote for tourmaline in quartz, and it's not. It's epidote. It's not less valuable. It just does something different. So that's epidote in quartz. And then this Chinese material, this also had the epidote in quartz. In this material, this is amazing Chinese material that came out. Oh, it might be 10 years, 12 years ago. It's got hematite phantom, amethyst phantom, and epidote all in quartz, all included. It was amazing material. So that's another form that epidote can be in. And then I just want to show you, this is epidote, but you can't really use this. It's not the right formation. You can use an epidote farden. You can see the difference. The epidote farden is thin, and it has a farden formation to it. It's got the farden line, whereas this is just an epidote crystal that isn't included in quartz. So it is different. And then I have a very good version of an epidote farden for clearing chords of socialization and self-criticism. So this is very hard material to come by. It's not at all easy to get epidote farden. So if you see one, pick it up. And then to get a matched pair can be complicated as well. So that's something you're going to have to find for yourself. If I come across them once in a while, of course I pick them up, but they're not something you can just order on demand. You see epidote fardens, pick them up. You're not going to be able to get them that easily. So there we are. And of course the price is, it's going to be pricey. It's going to be upwards of $50 in the US to get an epidote farden. But there we are, that's epidote. And then the other material that we use is the anhydrite brush, and this is anhydrite. And this is not that easy to come by either. I get it from a Mexican dealer when it's available. And so that's a very important stone. And both of these stones, you want the raw formation, not the polished formation. You want all these points because it is a brush. So you do want multiple points. That will work for you. Very good. So a very good prep technique after basic prep is to do special effects gridding with aquamarine before you do the decoding of chords of socialization and criticism. When we're socialized, especially socialized via criticism, that really shapes us. So we have to change away from that shape, and that's what the aquamarine will help us with. So I'm going to start by gridding with the aquamarine, and that's the special effects grid. So we just grid the chakra system, which means we go from here to about here, and just do that. And I love to grid with this particular aquamarine. It's my special gridding aquamarine. And of course you can see why as I use it. It's just so spectacular. There's our special effects gridding. Now we're going to go down to the feet. So this is where the different pieces of crystal surgery come back together again. We know that we are socialized throughout childhood, and we also know that childhood can be accessed through the legs, via the legs. So when you want to access those cords and remove the cords of socialization and criticism, you just do it from the legs, because it's something that happened during the socialization of childhood. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go and sit down at the feet, and I'll show you both methods. One with the anhydrite brush and hexagonal epidote or spongy epidote, and the other with the ideal epidote farden. And I'll show you. So I'll do one with the one foot and a different one with the other foot. And we'll see if Linda can feel a difference. Okay. So the key is to hold the epidote about an inch or so away from the foot, like that. So I'm going to have it peep above the toe line so that you can see the epidote. Then I take the anhydrite brush, and you know what I haven't got? I haven't got my bowl, and I do need it. So let's get that bowl. There we are. Because I do have to empty the cords from the epidote into the bowl. Let's put the bowl here so you can see it nicely. Very good. And then it's not hard. You just pull the cords here. That's it. Oh, you've got lots, Linda. Nobody's ever done this for you, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. Now, when it comes to cords, you have to look with your third eye or your mind screen. And you have to look and see what you're doing. It's not a feeling thing. Sometimes you can feel the cords and feel the texture. But the best thing is not to try and feel the energy of cords. It's unpleasant in any case. You rather want to, so you don't want to go there. What you really want to do is just look. And there's a bunch here on the bottoms of her feet. I don't think this has ever been done for you. We tend to skip this version of decording because we don't have the materials, and it's like, oh, what about the other chords? But I tell you what, we're very much shaped. Just the way the Chinese used to do foot binding, that's actually what the chords of socialization and criticism do. And the ones for self-criticism are the most wicked, folks. You know, Freud had this clarity about the super-ego, where you internalize the voices of your parents and your conscience, and it's a punishing voice. And those chords of self-criticism, it's a very punishing and critical voice that has people paralyzed at the best of times, at very important times when you're trying to move forward. That self-criticism, it binds you and it prevents you from moving forward. So it can be very, very important to clear these chords. And as I'm saying those words, Linda, I'm thinking, I think Linda's listening. I think this is meaningful for her. And we'll just do this layer over here, like right into your left foot here. And the thing is, not, we get such a lot of criticism and not enough encouragement and acknowledgement in a way that builds us up. So let's clear those. Now you may say, well, no, what about the upper leg? Well, if the cords are running this way, and they do, if you just pull here, it's going to work. So if we imagine that the cord is coming like this, if you pull here, it's going to pull the cord out, you see? So if the cord's running like that, all you need to do is the lower legs, because any cord that's higher up is getting pulled out from the lower leg down. So that's why you only need to do the lower legs and the feet. That's where the cords will settle and shape you and shape your thinking via criticism, which is not the best form of shaping. That is a miserable form of shaping. acknowledgement and positive reinforcement, those are positive forms of shaping that really are inspiring and uplifting. And criticism literally just pulls us down and literally hobbles us as though we have had our feet bound in the Chinese manner. So that's using the anhydrite and the epidote, the hexagonal epidote or the spongy epidote. And now we're going to use the Faden, and we'll do that on this leg. I'm just going to soften this shape now. Get myself sitting this way. Get the bowl. So this is the Faden material. So this I can use on its own. I don't need the anhydrite. And then I can just pull the cords like so. And the difference here using this is it's painstaking. It's one at a time. But it is also kind of micro action because you are just doing one at a time and clearing. And it's a tangle of cords that I'm perceiving. And I'll have to get into that tangle. And I think that after we do this, we might find that some of Linda's thinking changes for the better. So instead of being held back by some of the thoughts that she has, she'll be able to temper them with, yeah, but that doesn't matter because I can do what I like and I can be constructive as long as I am being constructive. And she won't be so held back in some of her impulses that are actually positive impulses but don't come across that way because of these cords of criticism and because of socialization. And remember that our socialization is so culture bound. We are, of course, socialized to become part of a specific culture, and yet we may not live in that culture. So I am Jewish, but I don't live inside a purely Jewish culture. I live in the United States of America, so I am culturally an American, and yet I grew up in South Africa, so I'm culturally also South African. So I have a lot of socialization to do with all of those different aspects of myself, and they all can bind together to make me very hobbled or very inspired and uplifted. And of course I would prefer the latter. And I'd like to get the best out of my cultures that I have been exposed to. And I love to learn from people of other cultures as well. There we are. Has this got any sensation, Linda?
Had a lot of sensations. At first it was tingly going around my leg, and then it just kind of made me a little anxious.
That is an excellent point. Now that is really important. I'm very glad you didn't hold back on that. Please remember, folks, if you start taking away cording that people are using to keep them in functioning in a very particular way, it's also stabilizing. What limits us also stabilizes us. And you start undoing that limitation, anxiety can come in. And it is the reason why you only decord one layer at a time, because decording is destabilizing and can generate some anxiety and self-questioning, as it should. So please remember that. One layer at a time when decoding. And Linda, thank you for pointing that out. That was excellent and helpful and useful. Thank you.